for 2024. And I would like to welcome you all here. Thank you for coming. We've got all our councillors here tonight. And thank you to Tanya for being here, our General Manager, and Phoebe. My apologies to the gallery for having my back to you, but with the camera for live streaming, I have to sit here, so my apologies. No worries. So number one, any apologies or leave of absence? I don't think we have any. Number two, declarations of pecuniary and conflict of interest, Local Government Act 1993. I just remind councillors, if you have a pecuniary or a conflict of interest in any item of the agenda, make sure you fill in the form and hand it to Mrs. Shaw. Number three, we have the confirmation of minutes. So we have a recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Kentish Council held at the Council Meeting Room, Sheffield, on the 19th of December 2023 be taken as read and confirmed. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Blencorn, Councillor Hughes. Are there any comments or questions? Councillor Thwaites.
Question, Madam Mayor. The question that was asked last time was about the toilets at for the mountain bike track, asking if they could be extended to Redwater Creek car park area. It said that we would consider it. Just wonder.
My understanding, if it hasn't happened, we're going to keep one at the current car park, which is used for walking, and then take one down to the new site and then remove two of them. I guess it was a chance to review the usage of them. And so there's some savings, but they're relocating one to the other site, which was suggested.
I was there on Thursday last week, so wasn't there at that stage.
Yeah, but that's certainly the intention, but we'll follow up when that's happened.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thwaites. Any other comments or questions? Then I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. We don't have any presentations tonight. Number 5, notices of motion, no. Petitions, no. So number 7, we have a response to questions raised at prior ordinary council meeting, no. Public participation, questions on notice from the public. So we do have one tonight from Shane Allison at Port Sorell. And we do have the questions from Mr. Allison, and we have a proposed response to each of those questions. Could I have a recommendation that the questions and responses be accepted? Councillor Richards and Councillor Lane.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here to
there's
clarify. The answer says that you want clarity.
Not here.
Thank you, Mr. Allison, but we don't have any debate or conversation about that. So we will
honour the clarity.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Madam Mayor, we will write to Mr. Allison. Hopefully he will then provide the clarity. But under the meeting procedures bylaw, there's no debate on questions on that.
Yeah. I would like the council to understand that I have not received any response to questions from August last year.
So thank you for that. We will get that to you during the week. Thank you for that.
Well, I get a response to my questions.
We'll follow that up and just see what happened with that.
Thank you,
Madam Mayor.
So if there are no further questions, I will have put that recommendation to the council. All those in favour? Anyone against?
I'll vote against.
Right. Thank you. That is carried. Public participation, questions without notice from the public. So we have 2 in the gallery. So first, would you like to stand up and give your name and ask the question that you would like to ask?
Okay. My name is Roxy Filmingham, and tonight I'm here to tell you that we're standing a candidate for Bass with the Jackie Lambie Party. And I've been asked to ask a few questions. I've got a question for the Deputy Mayor, please.
So we have 2 questions in question time.
About 15 minutes, is that right?
2 questions.
2 questions.
Okay. I'll try and get them. It says, Penny Lane, Mr. Deputy Mayor, have you read the secret report on the toxic culture attended to the staff of this council, and what are you doing about it? And do you wish to make a comment on if you will vote yes to have it released to the public?
I
what was the first part of, thank you for the question. What was the first part of the question?
We've been told there's a secret report on the toxic culture towards council
A
staff.
secret report?
Sorry?
What, a secret report?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know about a secret report.
You've never read one.
So I haven't read a secret report, that's correct, and?
There'll be a denial in that you're not doing anything about it because you haven't read it.
Well, I don't believe I've read a secret report. So
Okay.
I don't know about a secret report. So I would say I have not read anything. Thank you.
So have you got another question?
I do. I've been asked a question to the general manager. I want to know whether you have a financial interest in the Mersey Wild mountain bike trails as you bought 2 properties in Gibson Street at the entrance of the bike park.
I purchased those properties after the full plans had been released. So yeah, if there was something happened in the close proximity there, I'd be the same as everyone else. But certainly at the time when I purchased those properties, the full plans of the park were available, and I did check with the mayor and the deputy mayor at the time, and they were comfortable. So yes, I don't. Yeah, I do not believe I have an interest.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.
I have 2 questions.
Thank you, Mr. Allison.
My name's Shane Cush-Allison. Most of you will know who I am. I'm a Stood-Down Stroke councillor. I was coming here to honour my 2 questions on notice tonight and further clarify what was the meaning in those questions. But as I have not been allowed, I'd sort of like to start with a bit of a statement, and then I'll go into my 2 questions. An authority or a court of law could find that this may be fraudulent deception or even discrimination, especially when the Trade Council was asked the second questions that have been on notice tonight and did not refuse at public meeting last Monday. And 2 of the 3 questions, I've asked 4 questions, Kentish Council, and 3 have been refused in the last 6 months. I'm not sure whether there is discrimination happening there or what, but 2 of the 3 questions have been asked of other councils and haven't been refused as well. But the questions without notice that I have tonight regards to the Kentish financial position as of tonight's financial report, debt variance and cash equivalents. The leads from this financial report that I had to read was because I was coming in tonight, and I've noticed that you've got cash and cash equivalents of 2,678,492 year-to-date actual. Prior year draft, which is the 22-23 annual report, which due to the rescheduling of your AGM has not been released, you have 11.913030 in cash and cash equivalents. That's a variance of $8.3 million in 6 months. I also note through the financial report that you have a debt of $5.1 million as of the draft report. I'm sorry about the confusion, but I'm here looking at it. So this leads to my question, 2 questions. How much of the above cash and cash equivalents is in unrestricted cash, not cash in bank or cash reserves? And the other question is, where has the 8.3 and the 5.1, I believe, in debt, total of $13 million, been spent over the last 6 months or 4 years, as Kentish has had no real major projects? to discuss.
Good. Thank you for your two questions.
I'll email the questions to Councillor.
Thank you, and we'll take the questions on
Take
that.
those questions on notice then. Thank you, and we'll send a reply to you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to number 10, which is the Planning Authority. We don't have any development applications tonight. Number 11 is the Development and Regulatory Services Department. So 11.1 is the Building Department report, and we have a recommendation that the report by the Manager of Development and Regulatory Services concerning Building Department report December 2023 be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Richards, Councillor Dickinson. Can I have any comments or any questions regarding this report?
Oh, just
Yes, Councillor Blencorn.
just make a comment. Just sort of driving around the municipality, I don't see a lot of development taking place, but I'm hearing a lot of incidental stories about the prohibitive costs of building at the moment and the red tape that's being placed on developers and builders themselves. I think it's probably time that we as a council actually have a good hard look to see if we can foster a bit more development in the community. I know just personally from experience next door to me, I think things are slowed down, just the prohibitive costs and so forth. I think we've got some vacant lots that will look at like having development on them, but I think they've had to bite the biggie, so to speak, and just wait till for a cooling, so to speak, or whatever eventuates. But yeah, I think it's worrying times.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Blencorn. It certainly is, and I think it's not only in Tasmania, but I think it's Australia-wide, with the shortage of skilled labour and the shortage of materials and resources as well. So I think it has been addressed at various levels of government. So I'm hoping that things may improve this year and we can see a bit of an upturn in development applications and building projects. So thank you for your comment. Any other questions? Then I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against? Then that is carried. So we go on to Planning and Development Application Status Report. So we have a report there by Mrs. Phoebe, our Manager of Development and Regulatory Services, and a recommendation that the report by the Manager of Development and Regulatory Services concerning Planning and Development Application Status Report for December 2023 be received. Could I have someone, Councillor Haig and Councillor Cassidy? Are there any comments that anybody would like to make? No comments? Okay, well then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against? And that is carried. So we'll go on to number 12, which is the Office of the General Manager. And we have a recommendation on page 16. And because we are looking at the policies, so we have a recommendation that the report by the General Manager dated the 21st of December 2023 titled December 2023 Policy Reviews be received and the Council adopt with immediate effect the following new updated policies. And there are 12 policies listed there. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Haig and Councillor Richards. So could I have any comments or questions about those policies?
Okay, Madam Mayor, we had a good discussion with these at a recent workshop.
Yes.
Councillor Twaits did have a couple of queries on one of the policies. We made some minor changes to that. I think one of the suggestions we didn't go with, I did speak to Councillor Twaits today. He seemed comfortable with that, but I think the others are fairly straightforward and self-explanatory, isn't it? Madam Mayor, it's really just to keep the policies up to date.
Today, yeah. Yeah, and we did have a very good discussion at the forum last week, so it was a matter of bringing it to the council meeting tonight. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Blenkhorn.
Just the nature strip mowing policy.
Yep, number 7. Mhm.
Just so what with that policy, like how far do we actually go with that? Like, is this in the town boundary itself, or is it actually outside of the town boundary? Because there's a lot of unkept road reserve in our municipality. It is a fire hazard, and I find very disgusting. Actually, it's a real light on our council to see some of these road reserves that we actually own and manage, or should be managing, that have been left unkept. I think we can do a lot more. And I'd like to actually go a bit further with this mowing policy. I think just one swipe every year for a bit of a, to make it a bit more visibly around corners, clean up for the guideposts, and that make the viewing a bit easier. I think we need to be going a bit harder and a bit more. I think we can do a lot better job. I think putting this back onto the ratepayers, it is prohibitive to them. It can cause insurance issues. For instance, if you're roadside slashing on council property and you're actually breaking windows in cars or putting debris on the road. I've got some concerns about this nature strip mowing policy, and I think it needs to be made a bit more, it needs a good brush up.
I think, Madam Mayor, this is nature strip policy. It's basically been the built-up areas. I think what you're talking about is mowing of road verges. If you're not, I guess, if you've got specific issues, I'd ask you to bring them through a works request. Otherwise, if the level of service, if you're not comfortable with, I think that's a discussion at a forum as part of the budget process.
I was going to say the same thing. Thank you. Councillor Richards.
I'd just like to make a comment on that. Yeah, I know our Woodland Road, certainly I don't think anyone can complain about the on that over the last 2 or 3 years. It's been fantastic. This year they actually took 3 strips where they could. So, they normally take 2, but this year if there was an area they could take 3. And so the sides of the roads, all I hear from people up our way is, well looked after it is. So maybe Councillor Mengle is talking about some other areas, but I'm going to talk about our area. And I'd say, our community is very happy with the job that's getting done. So.
Councillor Lane.
There have been points where people have contacted me about line of sight, in which case I have encouraged them to put in a work order, and it's pointless pulling a crew from an area that are doing one point to do another area. In that emergency case where there is line of sight issues, the works crew are identified and that is addressed within a certain period of length of place. So absolutely, I would encourage all of councillors, if they have an issue, make sure that the works requests are put in, because it is a priority in the line of sight. So, but I have not had any complaints about
how. Madam Mayor, the policy is clear, and the policy statement. This policy applies to all council-controlled lands between property boundaries and council-controlled roads in the urban areas of the Sheffield, Railton and Wilmot Township. So it doesn't apply to the roadside mowing or slashing. But again, I emphasise if that is an issue with the levels of service, it should be raised as part of the budget process.
Okay, so if you identify any specific areas, Councillor Blenkhorn, it might be a good idea to put in, contact the council and put in a works order for anything that needs to be done.
Just another question then. With this policy, nature strip mowing policy, how come it's not, I don't think it's really well presented to our community that we have actually got a nature strip mowing policy, and it's not really communicated as well to our community, because I've had this issue over a few times now with ratepayers, but we don't seem to be communicating with our constituency very good. And I'd just like to leave that comment there.
Thank you for that comment, and we'll certainly discuss it perhaps at a forum or at a later date. Thank you for that. Okay, So we have a recommendation that the report by the General Manager with the policy reviews be received and Council adopt with immediate effect the following new updated policies. We have a mover and a seconder, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against?
Vote against.
Councillor Blenkhorn voted against. That is carried. Okay, so we'll go on to 12.2, extending the membership of the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group. Now, the purpose of this report is for Council to consider extending the membership of the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group to include King Island and West Coast councils as formal members of the group. And we have a recommendation that the report by the General Manager concerning extending the membership of the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group be received and that Council endorse the new terms of reference of the CCWMG to include King Island and West Coast councils into the group. But I have someone to move it, Councillor Thwaites and Councillor Hughes. I'll open it for discussion or if anyone's got any questions. Councillor Thwaites.
Having been on that Cradle Coast Waste Management Group as an observer for a couple of years, I know the sort of information that gets tossed around there and the areas that they go into. So I've always thought that West Coast and King Island are missing out on that. And so I think this is a really solid step and bring them in so that the North West can look at all of the waste issues, recycling, FOGO, and get us all together on the same page. So good step, I reckon.
Thank you, Councillor Thwaites. I notice on page 17 with the background information that in joining with the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group, that this ensures that all Tasmanian councils belong to one of the three regional waste groups. And I think that's a really important point to note in this particular report. Now, any other comments or questions? Right. Nobody's got any comments or questions, and I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. So we'll go on to the rollout of food and garden organics, the FOGO service across the Northwest. And we have a recommendation that the report by the General Manager concerning rollout of food and garden organics, FOGO service across the Northwest be received and the Council note the development of the communication strategy to support the planned delivery of the FOGO service to our municipality and across the region from mid-2024. Could I have someone to move it? Councillor Lane and Councillor Cassidy. Right, I'll open it up for comments or questions. So I think if we note there on page 23, we've got the timeline there that's going to be put in place for this year and the 5 levels that they've been looking at, which is the development, the announcement, the build-up, the launch and sustained behaviour and evaluation. So they've certainly gone through a very detailed process in getting this underway and being able to implement it by mid-2024. So any other comments or questions? Councillor Thwaites.
That group that they've put together, Mrs. Shaw, and myself on it, and we're having a meeting I think next week to get stuck into it. So I'm looking forward to it actually. I think there's a lot of work in front of us, but trying to make this implementation as smooth as possible. I hope that thing Albert is ready.
I think the idea, Madam Mayor, getting the report before each of the councils in the region is just to keep it in the, I guess, the spotlight that it is coming, and and as the campaign's rolled out, good having Mrs. Shaw there. She's coordinating responses across both councils. So we have started to get some people raising issues or concerns. So Mrs. Shaw's responding to those and can then feed that into the steering committee so we can get a regional approach to any issues or concerns that may be raised.
Right. Good. So, Councillor Cassidy.
Just wondering if there was, through the chair, if there was any chance of having on the website like things you can actually, a list of things that you can actually put in the photo. Coming. Beautiful.
Thank you, sure, for that. It's a good question. Thank you, Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah,
Councillor Blenkhorn.
Madam Mayor, just on this issue, like I know that what I've been hearing in the community is that we've got some larger acreage inside some of these municipality where people have chickens, for instance. They use make compost up for gardens. I think what the issue will mainly be is that I think we can't actually force people into having a FOGO bin. I think it should be an opt-in system where if you're a ratepayer that you can opt in to have your FOGO bin, or you can opt out to not have your FOGO bin. I think that really needs some really consideration and thought put into it, because I think from what I'm hearing in the community that, I don't want to build up the angst and force people into that FOGO bin.
Thank you for the question and the comment, Councillor Blenkhorn. I remember when our previous mayor, Tim Wilson, was in the chair, and we had quite numerous conversations regarding that very point where some people have their own FOGO bin or do their own composting, and it was decided in the end that it would be all in, and that was a decision that was made by council through fairly comprehensive discussion around the table. And I think the councillors that were here when our previous Mayor Wilson was in the chair, I think you'll remember the conversations that we had at that time, and that was the decision that was made in the end.
I think the other thing too, part of the change is to go to a fortnightly garbage collection, so the actual increased cost will not be substantial in this area. But as the Mayor said, council did have a good discussion and they agreed they'd stick to existing collection route. So if you're on that route and you currently got the 2 bins, you'll get the 3rd one.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you for your comment, Councillor Blenkhorn. Councillor Hughes.
That applied to the same as the recycling, and that was passed way back in 2002, and that was all in for recycling and that. And look where we are now with recycling. It's working
very well. Thank you for the comment, Councillor Hughes. Any other comments? And if there are no other comments, I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. So we'll go on to 12.4, which is the Child and Youth Safe Organisation. So the purpose of this report is for council to approve the Safeguarding Children and Young People policy for adoption by council, and we have a recommendation that the report by the senior HR and WHS officer concerning child and youth safe organisations be received, and that we have 3 points within that recommendation. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hughes, Councillor Haig. So I will open it up for discussion. Anyone got any comments about this particular report and the policy? Councillor Thwaites.
It looks like there's going to be quite a lot of extra work for staff and councillors. They talk about ongoing education and training required councillors and staff. And we've got a report on how progress is being made in that. It seems like there's quite a lot of workload attached to this. One thing I did wonder about, and this is very minor, but in definitions, council staff includes obviously council employees, but it also includes elected representatives. I mean, that sounds all right, but we're normally referred to as elected members or councillors. Elected representatives is not something, it's not common
terminology.
No, I just find it really.
Can you refer to which
As I say,
one?
Pages are on.
It's in my page 10.
Page 10 of the report. Yep.
I just looked at it and I thought that looks clumsy.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, I said we can.
Yeah, oh, I see council staff, it says elected representatives, and we normally say elected members. So we're happy to look at that then.
Yeah.
I'll pass that over to you for follow-up there. Any other comments or questions about the report?
So Madam Mayor, we're legally obligated to bring this policy in under the legislation, under the Child and Youth Safe Organisations Act. Councillor Thwaites is right. It does have a big impact on councils and organisations, cricket club, football clubs, places that we manage like the Green Room, Camp Banksy, where young people go. So the LGAT is lobbying hard with the state government, one, to give extra resources, and two, to have some consistency across the state. I know one of our officers last week talked about doing some templates, and I contacted the CEO of LGAT and said, look, it just seems that this ought to be done statewide, and he agreed and said, look, they're in the process of sending out all these templates for all the different groups, otherwise it will be a real monster. So it is looking at a coordinated approach, but also lobbying the state government. I mean, it's obviously a good cause. They brought in the legislation. I believe they've got an obligation to give some resources with it so it can be implemented.
Thank you for that information. Thank you, Mr. Monson. Any other comments or questions? No? Well, we have a recommendation that the report be received and the 3 points there will be accepted. So all those in favour? Aye. Is anyone against? Then that is carried. Okay, we'll go on to 13, which is the Corporate and Business Services Department. And 13.1 is councillor allowances and expenses for the quarters ended September and December. So we have a recommendation that the report by the Team Leader of Finance concerning councillor allowances and expenses for the quarters ended September and December 2023 be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Richards and Councillor Cassidy. So any comments or questions that anybody would like to make about that? There was an email came out today reminding everybody that if you have any claims, there is a new form out that has been sent out by Caitlin. So if you've got any claims, to please use the new form. Okay, and so Councillor Blenkhorn.
I was going to ask a question, like motor vehicle expenses, for instance. Like with this push for electric vehicles, for instance, will there actually be, say, if one of us councillors decides to buy an electric vehicle, there'd be no claim involved, would there? Like only time we can claim for a motor vehicle is through fuel. So how would it go with the electric vehicle? But be interesting conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, Councillor Blenkhorn, but it's an interesting question.
Follow the situation. I think as more and more people get electric vehicles, that issue will have to be addressed, particularly if charging stations at home.
Yeah.
At the moment, I guess you can get a receipt if you go to a public charging station.
So that would actually be a legitimate expense to actually charge your motor vehicle, like off a charging station.
Actually, yeah. But Councillor Thwaites.
You're normally reimbursed by the mile. Or
Yeah, it'd be a different situation. Yeah, that's right.
It is by the kilometre.
Yeah.
But that's to really cover the fuel though as well though, isn't it? Mm.
It covers wear and tear on the car and everything else. So. Yeah, I think it's an issue will have to be addressed in the future. Probably not a big problem at the moment.
No. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? And we have a mover and a seconder, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. So we'll go on to the finance report, and we have our report author, Andrew Cock, Team Leader of Finance, and we have a recommendation that the financial report for the period ending 31st of December 2023, as provided by the team leader of finance, be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Thwaites, and a seconder, Councillor Hughes. I'll open it up for discussion. Has anyone got any comments that they would like to make? Fairly comprehensive report.
Thing there, Madam Mayor, Councillor Thwaites, I think yesterday suggested it would be really good to have some more information about the progress on capital works. So today, Mr. McGaw has collated some information that's been sent out. You may not have had a chance to look through that because they went out late this afternoon. I guess whether you want Jonathan to use the time tonight to go through, or whether you have an opportunity to read the information and then maybe come back to the next forum. Now the information's been updated, we'll use that for future
reference. So I might ask Councillor Thwaites, would you like any to ask any questions while we've got Mr. Nagle here?
Well, I haven't got to that line yet, but the roundabout in Sheffield
right.
would be the thing that I get asked about most.
Yeah, we do. I think my understanding, Councillor Thwaites, is that we are still waiting on the state government to confirm the design of the roundabout, and we are still waiting for that. Am I right from that? There's been no more update on that?
That's fairly accurate, yes. Although we are doing another one down in the road, and we've recently been able to get some joy, I suppose, in terms of responses back from state roads for that one.
Right.
Which is good news for up here because it has been very difficult to get much feedback up until very recently.
So we'll be still waiting, and hopefully that reply from the state government will come through very quickly. And that's the message that I've been giving out to people that ask me in the community as well. So at that stage, I think that's all the information that we can give anybody who asks any questions. And it's not that we're hiding anything, we've just got to wait on the state government to give us the confirmation of the design. Okay, so any other questions about the finance report? Councillor Blenkhorn.
Just a question on some of the projects, fundings and so forth. With the Limeworks car park signage, like across the line down to comments and states C and ED officer, what's the abbreviation? What is that?
Community and Economic Development Officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's on the list with quite a few projects in that area.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Beattie.
I'd just add some comment there. I do want to catch up with you afterwards. I do have a bit of a brief history of text that I probably just wanted to run by you. I mean, we need to get some wording and the history correct to get the design done. So I'll chat to you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Phoebe. I remember when I was on the Economic Development Committee, that was something that we talked about quite a lot at that. So I guess it's still being dealt with, the Economic Development Committee. All right. So Councillor Richards, did you have a question?
I was going to say, no, just a comment, and maybe the next forum we'll take the time through that, and we probably put a few minutes aside just to discuss it, at our next forum in February.
The Kentish capital expenditure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mrs. Shaw, if you could make a note of that, and we'll spend some time at the February forum to discuss that, if that's okay. Thank you for that. Any other comments or questions about the financial report? All right, well, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against? Then that is carried. We'll go on to number 14, Infrastructure and Assets Department nil, Operations Department nil, Information. So 16.1, Council Forums. We have a recommendation that information on topics discussed at the 16th of January 2024 Council Forum be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Cassidy, Councillor Haig. Any comments or questions? They were the topics that we discussed last week at our forum. Councillor Lane.
Just that I get a lot of background from the staff from those, which are really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. And the forums are certainly very valuable because it's an opportunity for us to really have productive conversations around the table, and it gives you an opportunity to be asking questions or to give any information that we need to discuss around the table. So council forums are really important in that regard. Any questions? All right, then, well, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. We've got the delegates' report, got my report and the different things that the meetings or functions that I attended. It was quite a busy month of December, but leading up to Christmas, so there were a lot of functions, as well as there was always meetings to attend as well. But it was really, I went down to the school and I attended the Grade 10 Leavers Assembly, and that was a pretty special time to say farewell to the Grade 10 students as they were leaving. Some of them a couple of them might be staying here at Sheffield, or most of them go on to Don College. Some of them look for traineeships, apprenticeships, or get full-time work. And there's always a good result from the students at Sheffield School. So that was a really nice morning. And certainly there were different functions to go to leading up to Christmas. So, and then we have our report from Deputy Mayor Penny Lane with what she attended during December. So I will ask other councillors, delegates, if you've got any reports or any meetings that you would that you've attended and you would like to report back to council. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, just before Christmas, I went to the adventure patch there, the house around there, and I was very impressed the way they're operating there. And I did have a look around. There's a lot of work to be done.
Thank you. I'm glad. That's really good that you've actually gone round and had a look, because we are looking at what we can do around there, which is what we've been working towards, giving the support to the childcare centre.
Yes, that inside there is very, 50s and 60s.
It's very aged.
Very aged.
Thank you for that. Any other reports? Councillor Twaits.
Not quite a meeting, but I did attend the wood shop at Gary Park on New Year's Day, and I must comment and congratulate the organisers of that day. Did a fantastic job. There were so many people there. It's a compact area, and it's great to see that area being used. So I was the only councillor there, but it was great to be there and participate. And the only thing that I was called upon to do was don the toilets blocked. Yeah.
That does get blocked out there.
To my knowledge, the ladies' room continued to be blocked on, one of the two cubicles. I don't know if anybody got any council worker, got a plumber organised for that. But anyway, that was my only task for the day to give for
We had the same problem here a couple of years ago when I had a phone call from Glenn Bakes with the very same issue. We might have to cancel the event unless we can get the toilets unblocked and get the whole situation sorted out. So maybe it's something that needs to, if it's happened again, might be something that needs to be looked into anyway. Good. Well, thank you for attending that and representing the council. That's good.
I don't need to be thanked for attending that.
No, it's good. Councillor Hughes.
Glenn Bakeson was talking to Glenn Bakeson that, and he'd like to thank the council for mowing and keeping the grounds pretty clean before the event, which is good to see. And I was very happy with that.
Good. Thank you for that. Now, could I have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Haig and Councillor Hughes, for the recommendation that the delegates' reports be received? Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? Councillor Blenkhorn.
Just make not a comment, but just mention something happening this Friday, Australia Day event down at Browton. It's a cricket match, Wilmot Beulah. Sure that probably some people around the table might be able to venture down and turn up. A representative from Wilmot, sort of might see him down there.
So did you say Beulah and Wilmot?
Yeah.
Right.
So there should be a bit of rivalry and yeah, so looking forward to attending that.
What time is the cricket game?
It starts at midday.
Right, 12 o'clock, right, okay.
And I heard that there's going to be some lamb on the menu actually, so roast lamb.
So do you know who's organising this? Is there a committee that's doing it or is it
I think it's just through the clubs.
through the Beulah and Wilmot cricket
Yeah,
clubs?
yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that's good to see that the Railton ground is going to be used on Australia Day, so that's really good. Anyone else? We've got, talking about Australia Day, thank you, Councillor Blinken. We do have the Australia Day event over here in the Town Hall, which will be a free breakfast at 8 o'clock. And we have a citizenship ceremony as well. So we've got 5 people that will be becoming new Australians. So that's a really exciting time as well for Friday morning. So if you're able to come, could you make sure that, well, Mrs. Shaw tonight, or let Darren Harris know that you're coming, because we need to have numbers. And if you're not able to come, could you put in an apology so I can acknowledge your apology on the night? Sure. To Tanya. Thank you, Councillor Richard. So 2 for you as well. Thank you. All right. So we have a mover and a seconder, and if there are no other delegate reports, then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Anyone against? Then that is carried. So we've got 16.3, Council Decision Status Report. We have a recommendation that the December 2023 Status Report of Open Council Meeting decisions be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hughes, Councillor Richards. And are there any comments about the status report? Councillor Thwaites.
Thank you. I don't know why, but the reserve road access to Redwater Creek for the Wild Moose is not on the action status report. Maybe it doesn't need to be because it's not really on up to us to do something. But this has been dragging on for some years now. And I would like to suggest that Council write to the Lands Titles Office stating our intentions to proceed with the trial unless they can give us a reason to not do so or a date for the court hearing. This is just dragging on, I think.
Yeah. So I think we actually wrote to the minister late last year.
Right.
We're still not getting any response, so thank you for your comment. Yeah. So it's your suggestion, Councillor Thwaites, that if they're not going to respond to us, that we just proceed? Is that what you were perhaps suggesting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take some risks.
Okay, well, we'll have a discussion about that and we'll, and yeah, thank you for your comment because it is worth investigating, but it would be really good if we could get the proper response.
Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to sort of do the right thing and, you know, thinking that justice or we would get a direction, but just to have nothing happen for several years is not good enough.
No, I don't. Yeah, thank you for that. And as I said, we did write to the minister last year, but we're still not really, we might have got acknowledgement of the letter, but that was about all we got. Yep. Right, so any other comments? Yes, Councillor Hughes.
With the RSL club there, the Whitworth Cannon and that, the slab's been poured and it's been done, and also the chain fence has gone up around it. And I'd like to congratulate George McDonald and the crew for doing that. And the cannons down at Clark's at present and getting refurnished and that. According to George McDonald, in the near future, it might be far away to come back to this club.
Good. That was a really good outcome for that. So thank you for bringing that up tonight. Good. Any other comments or questions about the status report? No, if anyone's okay. We've got a mover and a seconder, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? And that is carried. Committees of council, no. Council joint authorities and other committees, no. Closed meeting. We've got a recommendation that the following items will be discussed in closed session. So there are 5 items there. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hay, Councillor Cassidy. So anyone got a comment or question about those topics? Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. And I'll now declare the ordinary meeting of council closed at 7:50. Thank you. 6:50, sorry.
Oh.